Chapter 6. The Evolution of Consciousness. Could you imagine how a serpent, a human, a yak, and a parrot could all become friends? Together we defied the odds with our soulful bond, but still, all of us were curious as to how this could have happened.
Because we have endured great suffering,
said the serpent named Kundalini. And old souls have a way of locating each other throughout the life that we're living. And because of our spiritual connection, we will continue to meet again and again, said Nandi. That snake slithered away through the grass when I realized it could hear what we'd all been thinking. Had I recognized this black snake before? Now where had I seen it? That snake was tuned into the man's awareness, and I suppose we were all connected, because I too was a manifestation of the man's own intuitive wisdom. Whatever the case, we'd been brought together for a good reason, and now the yak opened his eyes as we knew this horned creature was the man's guardian. By the time we all woke up the next morning, there was an immediate discovery of warmth when our eyes first saw the light. This human seemed to have 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in another. Then, to our surprise, a living woman was bathing in a pond of water. And even though we noticed it, the man was unbothered, but rather he remained open to the naked experience and rested in a state of loving awareness. Why, this was the first mortal woman I'd seen in a long time, and I was stunned by her magnificent form. Circular ripples radiated around her core, as if each molecule of water bowed to worship her. And to my amazement, she did not consider this man or I to be a distraction to her. Oh, what if she was something beyond just human? I had a feeling she too was an old soul of a celestial woman. As soon as I had the thought, the same mental idea sprouted up from the man's awareness. I could feel whatever his mind thought, and I understood that whatever I imagined would arise up from this human's intuition. When the woman was finished, she rose out from the water and clothed herself in a simple white robe as she looked over her shoulder to get the attention of the man. "Who are you?" the man asked.
"Yesterday, you asked me the same question,"
she responded. "Then do you know who I am?" he said.
"After every dark night, the sun rises. You are Surya. You are the light on the bright side of the world's horizon,"
she said. The man looked back to the yak. "Surya, is that the name that was given to me?" he asked. Nandi nodded to agree, and this provided a sense of clarity. But the man seemed crippled by an inner anxiety. His own forgetful patterns forbid him to recall his own true identity. "Do you know what has happened to me?" asked the man.
"I do,"
said the woman. "But why can't I remember?" he asked.
"You don't need to remember our love when we embody it together. It's okay to forget from time to time, as long as you remember that God has given you a path. And so, we must continue to walk it, and that's all you have to remember. Even if you forget some things, I'll always remind you how my name is Shruti. Did you know that sometimes I forget how I am not bound by time or space, since I do not obey the laws of the human reality?"
she said. "Shruti! I knew a cosmic woman by that name, but when I met her, she hadn't found her body," said the man.
"Yes, I am your Shruti, and just last night, we were reunited in divine harmony,"
she said. It was silent for a moment when the man tried to remember what existed beyond his state of amnesia. He couldn't recall much, but he could sense that something beyond this world came to connect all of us.
"Aren't you curious about what Shruti means?"
she asked. "Of course, but is this all a dream?" he asked.
Shruti means that which is heard by the innermost seer, and so the great sages and saints can hear me whisper wisdom in the deep state of contemplation. Some people know it as the eternal wisdom, and others know me as the divine law of our universe,
said Shruti.
Praise be to God,
said Nandi.
Yet most living beings cannot hear the wisdom within me. Many fail to see the truth of reality clearly, yet we are connected beyond time, beyond space, beyond form. Why, after all, how could you forget that you were chained to me?
Said Shruti. Now the serpent crawled up the man's back and rested along his neck to get clarity on the situation. This serpent named Kundalini seemed to send me an unspoken message so that I could adjust the man's intuition.
What we represent are the layers of soulful unity, and we are here to teach this man how to gaze beyond the covers that conceal him, to gaze into eternal beauty. God gives us all sight, but what can we see beyond the two eyes? We must teach this human to go all the way within and gaze out from the inside,
said Kundalini. A presence grew around the center of the man's brow when a central vision began to focus as his thoughts came to remember. There the serpent and I led him to recall that there once was a chain around his leg, which shackled him to an ancient temple. As if he'd been trapped again by the chains, he could not fathom how the links would break. There I looked back into Shruti's eyes when she revealed how the chain transformed into the form of a black snake. Shruti, did you do this to me?
I did not chain you, but I set you free. And the moment I touch your human form, I grant you access to peer beyond the veil of the material reality,
she said. The woman came forward and took his hand. Then, without words, the man felt that which was heard, and only then did he understand. How is this possible? He asked.
Have you ever sat in front of an old man and looked at a picture of him as a child? What is it that's changing within him? What is within that transcends the ever-changing appearance of our outside?
In deep contemplation for her question, the thoughts within his mind seemed to defy human reason.
Come on, Surya. Who are we at our core? Said Nandi. We are that rising sun. We are that dawn of spiritual light, the soul that lives within the heart of all beings, and it is the illumination that overcomes the darkest part of the night. You are Surya. You are the ray of divine light,
said Shruti. But how come you have found this form? Are you the cosmic goddess that transforms? Said the man.
Are we the body, or are we the consciousness of the soul? We have found a human form, but our nature is pure and whole. You invited me back. That's how I found my eyes. Then once I could see, I began to find my human form in no time,
said Shruti. But how do you transform so quick?
Maybe I should ask, why do some people grow so slow? Sometimes it is better to sit with questions than need an answer to allow the mind to understand or to know. Think of my expression as something like fate, and when you fail to recognize our external nature, I may appear as chains that one cannot break. Yet once you open your heart to truth, you rediscover the light of love. I transform as a reflection of your own nature, and so you find me in this form, so I can lead you home to our beloved,
she said. Shruti, but how come I can't remember everything, yet you can remember me?
Because I am that which lasts forever. I have no beginning or end. I am of the Spirit, and I transform throughout the 5 processes of creation, whereas my eternal wisdom continues unscathed without interruption,
said Shruti. What are the 5 processes of creation? Asked the man.
Let us begin with the first three: conception, sustenance, and dissolution. And so the first three stages are also known as creation, preservation, and destruction. These three are what is given to all living beings. So whether we label them with words or not, every animal, plant, and person knows they were born. Then we go into life, and eventually our form comes to an end before we are burned, eaten, or buried. All living form is curious about the end, and what could happen after death. This is where my grace comes in, as I, Shruti, am deathless. Beyond creation, preservation, and recycling, there are the final two hidden aspects, which are called concealment and grace. Concealment is what every living body is subjected to. Think of it like a form, a body, and our face. The soul is woven within, but the soul is concealed by the body, skin, and bones, even though this disguise covers the soulful nature of animals, plants, and creatures. Yet within the vehicle that covers our inner conscious aspect, we sometimes forget we are made of the divine source, which is the life force that enables us to gain living features. This divine aspect grants us grace to remember, and grace is the power that offers wisdom and joy on every level of existence. It is God's grace that enables every animal, plant, and human to experience life. Grace is the culmination of all 5 life processes,
said Shruti. So are you her? Are you that dark goddess? She started laughing, but even I was curious as I'd assumed the role of the man's intuition. Is there something I'm forgetting? Asked the man.
Even if you forget, in time, God's grace will invite us to remember. But I should add that we will continue on,
said Shruti. And where are we going? The man asked.
To the places few souls dare to go,
said Shruti. And what is it? Is it a place? Or are we setting our sight upon a mission? What exactly are you getting at? Go on, I'm listening.
Shush, my parrot,
she said. The human took a moment to ponder everything when Shruti's skin mirrored his own thoughts. Her outer layer would change depending on the man's mental pathways that would occasionally get stuck in knots. She was like a great mirror, and at first she appeared light blue, only to become greenish-white. Now a dark hue appeared to come forth from her insides. Wherever the man's thoughts went, so Shruti's skin would reflect his mind. But what was he hesitating for?
There is a journey which we will take, and we will do this to answer the great question of time,
said Shruti. What's the great question of time? Asked the man.
No, that's it. Time is the reason for our search. Why does time exist? Or another way to think of time is to understand why you as a human have taken birth,
said Shruti. And why has the human taken birth?
You want to tell him, or should I?
Said Shruti as she looked at Nandi. Nandi chewed a bit of grass as his jaw chomped in circles when he shrugged.
You mean the circle of the soul? Why don't you explain?
Said Nandi. Shruti smiled when her skin glowed like a mysterious rainbow. Wherever her eyes went, the birds would happen to fly, as if she gave a hint of how this was all connected. And now I felt the human wonder. But why?
Let us first understand how each of us have a life to live. And in our bodies, we hold a ray of life from God, which is evolving consciousness. One way to think of the process for life could be like this. In the cosmos, there are wheels, such boundless wheels of energy which can be difficult to understand. The point is there is movement happening, and from this expansion and contraction, the universe gives rise to a production through time. Life on Earth is similar to a human's production line. But what humans often miss is that we are not here to gain more material things, but rather, the process is a path to live, so we experience the divine. Let me explain. First, material life starts unrefined. Life is not clean, nor is it quiet, but rather when a baby is born, it comes out screaming. And so it begins a journey on its first day with divine light inside. Now the reason life is a production is because we are dealing with the essence of creation, and such a production takes time. We are given a physical body, a heart, lungs, and all the equipment needed, which is then operated by the intelligence of the mind. This vehicle carries our spirit, that single ray of light, and this could be called the spark of the soul, and this soul has lived countless times. Once we find a body on the earth, we seem to forget the true nature of reality, because we become attached to the individual appearance of our form, and as we live, we become quite concerned with all the choices we can make. And so, this is our introduction to humanity. When we examine any sort of production, there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now let's pretend that the evolution of the human body is something like manufacturing cars, food, or parts. And of course this may sound bizarre, but for simplicity's sake, human production is a reflection of a spiritual evolution, and even material production has a process that is required. Such a process happens in stages, and these stages have something to do with time. There is an initial starting point where raw material goes and is subjected to an assembly or development that it must undergo. This could be the frame of a body or the beginning of a human mind. But the point of the production is that every living being's soul is at a different point of the production upon our earth. So don't get caught on the exterior form, but rather, we have bodily vehicles through which the soul transforms. What we are most concerned with here is the process and the evolution of our spiritual soul. And this is what we cannot see because all of our souls are covered. You see, Earth's production of souls isn't quiet, but neither is a manufacturing line, since it's chaotic or even bizarre. Some of us may be working on the outward appearance, while others spend their lifetime connected to our roots, or maybe we go deeper within to examine the inner gears, circuits, or integral components. From the outside to the inside, all souls upon the earth undergo some sort of soulful production, and since life on earth is rather complex, we see all sorts of complications and disruptions. We learn there are all sorts of aspects to this soulful process, and there's much that we are not in control of. Now, after enough time, a soul undergoes all the work that needs to be done. Then there comes the end of the soulful production, and this might be thought of as something like a finish line. Again, some people on earth are only interested in their outward appearance, and so they are still early on, while other people are on to the next stage as they are working on their interior composition. But once all this is done, eventually, the end of the process brings us to what is called fruition.
She said. Fruition? Asked the man.
Fruition is the culmination of the great purpose, and so we know it as our magnum opus,
said Shruti. What are you getting at? Asked the man.
If we were to look under this layer of dirt, there is an entire world to uncover, from bones of dinosaurs to the armor of great kings and warriors. What if we look under the surface? Oh, what will we find? We must be willing to dig deeper. And so the journey into fruition is our soul's ultimate mission. And here on earth, there seems to be a slight contradiction, because God gives free will to all the beings of creation. Imagine if God built a production line for the soul, then trained the people in good faith before their master departed. Fast forward a couple of millennium before God sends down a manifestation to get an update on the soulful progress, only to discover that the process of fruition has been halted, redirected, or canceled. It seems humanity has shifted the soulful process throughout time, and the soulful process was overtaken by a wicked force which hijacked the production facility instead. Only something demonic in nature would seek to control the whole world, rather than continue the process which our soul already had. And so the demonic nature of wickedness is inherently deceptive, as it would seek to profit even from death. As Earth was once a creation site for the divine process to uncover our deepest spiritual potential, after thousands of years, it was discovered how certain selfish leaders of humanity rerouted the production of the soul, where they instead used humans to create weapons, wars, and pharmaceutical drugs with an intention to profit off the masses. Rather than fulfill the magnum opus and bring the soulful path to fruition, a wicked force has dominated the population and gained control of the human production. Instead of fulfilling God's true mission, these political leaders sought to focus on the material production, where they overtook the divine process to profit instead. Unfortunately, this selfishness is what we know as demonic,
said Shruti. That sounds a bit maddening. So why doesn't God stop it? Why would God allow it?
At first, God sent prophets with instructions, but since the wicked force wouldn't listen, the leaders killed such beings over and over again. And so, we can only wonder what God will do this time instead,
said Shruti. Then what must be done?
Let's just say, the spiritual beings above have hired a new head of production. Oh, congrats, Surya! You got promoted, and the leaders of Earth may not be happy to hear it, now that they report to God's Son,
said Shruti. Surya, asked the man.
The sun holds a title, but not for one being alone. Surya is the light of those connected back into the supreme spiritual consciousness that we know as home. The sun is our infinite power. It offers life upon the earth. And although a single being could never control such a force, the sun is the divine wellspring of all living births,
said Nandi. And what is the sun's purpose? The man asked. There was a pause when Shruti's mind wandered before her skin turned dark black.
If we are to contemplate a sort of spiritual production, we'll need to get things back on track. First, we'll start with recycling. Then from there, we'll make a few changes rather fast. Now don't get lost on what's ahead in the future. Don't get caught on the past. Be here right now, and know that all will be accomplished. Although it may look like a revolution, you should know that my goal is simple. What we are undergoing is an evolution of human consciousness,
said Shruti.